Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have a director, and he is with Strange Film Studios, and there's a new movie out right now that's called The Gifted. I have with us the director, August Aglegor. August, welcome to our Horror Room.
Hi, Travis. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be on the show. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you on, man. So tell us about The Gifted.
Yeah. So The Gifted is like you said, it's our new movie. We've been working on it for really like a year and a half, but it's came in conception about 2 years ago now. As of this moment right now, in about 48 hours, I'm going to be in Las Vegas, getting ready for our premiere this Saturday, March 23rd. So it's been a long time coming. So The Gifted is like, it stars Ginger Lynn Allen. She is, she was in The Devil's Rejects. She was in 31, the recent movie Murder Size, and things like that. And it's about a character named Barbara who she plays, where she possesses these kind of like these supernatural abilities, almost kind of like along the lines of Carrie. She can control people's will and just can use her mind, for whatever she pleases. And we see her in present day. We start with her in present day, where she's obviously in some sort of distress, and she's being told to go confess her sins to a priest. And the priest kind of starts asking her questions, and every question is essentially her telling a story about one of her sins that kind of made her who she is today and how she got to that point. So it's kind of told like an anthology film, where we go back in time. We actually span the whole movie across 50 years as far as timeline goes. We see 3 different versions of the character, and it's really interesting. We kind of see what made Barbara so kind of wrong in her ways, and why she feels this way to confess these sins. But the horror part of the movie is the priest is definitely like something weird is going on with him. He's got like a whole church full of like these undead assembly members just kind of bouncing around, and then she's just kind of so it's definitely a horror drama for sure.
That's an interesting concept to break a film down into almost like you said, like an anthology, and we get to see the character throughout the years. What gave you the idea and inspiration for this story?
So I had to give props to my father, Frank Aguilar. He's the writer and producer of this movie. We work very, very closely together. We've been making movies since 2016 together. So this movie kind of came together from, I would say, 2 concepts. I mean, we always had an idea about doing an anthology film itself, just totally different, unrelated, just doing its own thing. But when Ginger Lynn came into the picture, that was kind of like he had this other idea for her to kind of blend that idea of her confessing her sins to a priest, which it made more sense to kind of do that in a way where let's do it like an anthology, almost make like 3 short films within a feature film, so we can have a little bit more creative freedom with what we're doing, what we're trying to say with this character. So, which we kind of cut our teeth a lot doing short films for the years. So for us, it was kind of like, okay, each story feels like its own wacky thing, and we're going to lean into that, and we just tie the narrative into her character and things. So it's just a combination of a lot of inspirational stuff we've been looking forward to doing, and having the right people involved, and having the right momentum for this project, especially for Ginger Lynn. And it felt like different. It just felt like totally different than anything we've done and maybe have seen recently. So we're like, let's try it like this. So I think it worked out in our favor, though. It came out very, very exciting the way it's told. Like you said, it's interesting still for me to watch it unfold like that, And
it must have been pretty amazing to get a talent like Ginger Lynn to be in your movie. She was great in Murder Size. Actually, I saw that a couple months back. Fun movie, by the way, if anybody hasn't seen it. So, how did that transpire?
So Frank was at the New Jersey Horror Con film convention, horror convention up in New Jersey, like 2020, I'd say, I guess 2022 now. And he was there representing our movie Raven. Our film Raven was playing at the convention. We were up for like 5 awards, and we were just kind of like, he was there representing, and he saw Ginger Lynn was there as a featured guest, and he just wanted to meet her as a fan because he loves, Ginger Lynn. And he went up and introduced himself, and bought like a photo op, autograph, all that stuff. And her agent or whoever was with her at the time was like, "Oh, she's still a working actress." And he was like, "Yeah," or he was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah. Here's my email," and gave him the email. And she's like, "If you ever have something, send it my way." And this is how he tells it to me. But when he got that email in his hand, he like went straight to the bar, texted me, and was like, "Oh, we have to get Ginger Lynn Allen in our next movie." And he said the wheels just started turning right then and there. And I kid you not, within probably 2 months, we had he had like a pretty kind of like a good rough draft of the script. And I think, was already sending it out to her agent and that email and everything. And it took about 8 months, I'd say, to really lock in everything. It was going through her agent, going back and forth a little bit with Ginger, kind of me and him crafting the story just right and things like that. It took about 8 months for all that to kind of transpire and actually complete. But once it was all said and done, after that, I mean, it was The Gift. It was announced. We did a little Indiegogo, kind of help raise some funds, and she came down here to Knoxville in May of 2023, and we started shooting. And then we actually didn't wrap the movie until September of 2023. We had to do 2 parts, like half the movie in Knoxville and half the movie up in Philadelphia, where Frank is in and I'm originally from. So we blended a lot of our cast and crew from both cities and made the movie. And Ginger was just in the Knoxville scenes. But yeah, that's just kind of how the backstory was getting her there.
Awesome. By the way, go Birds.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I know.
So I was like,
well, I was gonna say, I obviously I'm from Philly, and it means a lot to me to represent and support. I wish I was more of a football guy. I feel like I'm not like. I feel like I can never talk shop about it, but I'm like, yeah, no, go Birds for real.
Yes. I mean, I'm literally. I mean, I'm going to show you something right now. Listen, I'm always wearing my Birds gear, man.
Oh, my man.
All the time, man. All the time, man. All the
cool,
time,
dude. That's what's up.
So, all right. So, as a filmmaker, what was it like to craft a story in a movie? I mean, you had this actress in place, and now you're going to build a movie and a story behind her. What was that like?
It's always like trying to put a 1,000-piece puzzle together. It's like you're just trying to figure it out, and you can read that script 100 times and you still don't know exactly how it's going to end up, because there's so many variables that go on during making a movie. I can say I always, just like how I treated this movie, I treat with all my movies, I treat it as an experience that I'm very grateful for, that I'm like excited about. So I have a pretty good vision how I think it's going to be, and then working with that person or working with these cast and crew, and I just have a good time with it. Like I just I'm very practical and very logistical as far as like what I'm able to do and what I'm able to convey on screen and with my team. So we just go into I told Ginger, I was like, now listen, Ginger, you've been on big Hollywood sets, you worked with Rob Zombie, you've been this, you've done that. I'm like, this is my camera. It was like I have a Panasonic GH5. It's just a little rinky dinky thing. I mean it's a great camera, don't get me wrong, it picks up amazing quality and it looks like a movie, but it's like I'm not carrying around a giant rig. And so I like, for me it's just about creating this atmosphere of honesty, creating this atmosphere of we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to tell this story. And even if it's like the lines aren't like exactly there, word for word, or we have to rework a scene because and improv it up because it's just not working or something, like that's part of it. So we're just going to go for it. And we're going to have fun. We're going to do it and we're going to get it done. So it's like, I'm just trying to tell a great story. I'm trying to convey some really great characters, and I really put a lot of trust into my actors too doing that. So Ginger, I was talking with her and I said, who is Barbara? You tell me, because all we have is our paper, what we think is what's going on. But me and her had these conversations for months before she came down, and any idea she ever had on set was like, yes, all right. I mean, obviously, as long as we stay in the same guidelines. If it's something totally left field, we discuss that. But but no, it's it's just really at this point in my career where I'm still building. It's important for me to try to make the the best set experience possible and make a movie. A very, very totally, I'm caring about the quality of everything. Like I'm putting 100% effort into it, but it's not where I'm not trying to get into myself intimidated too much about everything, because it's like, I'm just trying to have fun, trying to make a good movie, and I hope everyone else enjoys it too. And, I'm open to ideas. That's all it is.
That's what's important, man. That's definitely what's important. Now, what is it like to work with your dad? I mean, your dad has a crucial part in your studio.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a blessing always. It's very, it's challenging. It's because we have two very different backgrounds, as far as our upbringings and mentalities of things and whatnot. But like creatively, passionately, we are always really on the same page. So when we started this thing together, it was, when he gets excited, I get excited, and vice versa. So, we've been doing this back and forth for so long. Sometimes he gets a little too ambitious, and I have to bring him down. Sometimes I get a little too ambitious, and he has to put me in a reality check. So we challenge each other. Sometimes we butt heads, but at the same time, it's really cool because he's my dad, and I didn't spend too much time with him growing up. I was living away from him for a long time. So being an adult, and spending all this time with him and communicating with him like I do, and also creating something with him as, our legacy, is kind of like that means more to me than anything in a way. So it's like, it's super exciting to do that. And I'm very grateful. I'm excited for what's to come the next few months here, because I think we're going to be going in some exciting directions, and I want to see how we handle that and what new ideas we can bring to the table moving forward, because we want to try different things too outside of the things we've already done.
Now, as a filmmaker, especially in the horror genre, how hard is it to stay, I don't want to say original?
It can feel challenging, but at the same time, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything, but I think just between me and Frank, we somehow do come up with some original concepts and ideas. And I think that's only, like, obviously, like, we take influence and inspiration from other movies. Like, you can watch any of my movies and I can tell you, well, that movie was inspired by, Suspiria there, or that Taxi Driver there, or whatever that is. Like, there's always something that's inspired these things. But the whole idea about Strange Films is to create a shared cinematic universe, just like Marvel. We're trying to do something like where when you start watching Strange Films, I mean, however long it goes, we're hoping, we can lead you a trail of breadcrumbs to see like, oh wow, they had like this whole ideas, even back in 2016 when they first started. Mm-hmm. And I think it's for that, it's very important for us to be more original, strive to be more original, and come up with interesting characters and situations and just weird things, like odd situations that maybe people don't see. And if we make a movie that is very similar to something else, I can probably bet you and promise you that it wasn't intentional. It was just like, hey, okay. Because I think there was another movie when I put out Passenger. That's our third short film. I put out Passenger, and then not too long after that, I was on YouTube looking up Passenger, and there was another horror film called Passenger, and it was like almost the same exact kind of premise. Wow. Yeah, it really was like, it was like a car, someone on the side of the road in a car, and like some sort of monsters around the car, and that's kind of like what happens in our movie. And I was like, wow, that is total coincidence. Like, I had no idea that existed. So I'm not saying we're so original. I'm just saying we may not be as original as we think, but we really do try to strive to be original as best we can,
So I mean, I can imagine as a special horror indie filmmaker, it would probably be so easy to go the cookie cutter route. You know what I mean? Find something that's been proven successful, and just imitate that but put your own little brand on it.
Yes, and we've even thought about that. We're actually toying with one of those ideas right now about, one of those kind of like a spoof film, some exploitation film or something like that, because, we know those things get some weird, ungodly attention. It's like a lot of attention on these things, and the formula works, like you said. my closest attempt maybe would have been my last film called He Comes to Kill, where it's like I'm making a slasher film. This was very much more my tribute to John Carpenter's original Halloween. I took a lot of inspiration from that. Even the jumpsuit, it's the same kind of jumpsuit, but just different color. It's like, but total different mask and everything. But it's like, so we, it is kind of. I think for us, it's more important right now to be just like, let's just do our own thing and let's see who gravitates towards it and let's push it to be its own thing. So like over time and eventually we're going to get enough people who want to see what we've done, in that kind of realm, in that space. But we definitely would love to be able to be like, oh yeah, also here is, whoever versus whoever, or whatever, whatever kind of exploitation or whatever kind of, like you said, cookie cutter kind of like formula we can come up with, because we know there's gonna be some sort of audience about it. Even if it's like the cheesiest B campy movie ever, we just want to have our own taste on that. It's like, because
exactly,
how would Strange Films do that? I don't know. I'm curious to find out.
I don't know, because I mean, listen, Guy in the Woods killing campers. I mean, that has worked since the 70s. It's proven, it's worked. It's been done on different types of variations. Some are good, some are bad, some are okay, but it works.
Yeah, and there's another project I'm attached to right now that we are going to be announcing soon, and it's a lot of that is happening. There's like kind of like that same kind of scenario, and you're like, okay, do we just kind of lean into that, and just kind of ground that and say, yeah, because like you said, there's so many, since the 70s we've seen that over and over, but people are watching that because they want to see, oh well, how do they do it, what's going to happen next, or whatever, who is this killer now, who are these people, so what's the lore behind that? So I think it's interesting, and I'm not opposed to ever kind of trying to conjure, replay the formula, but I think now that I think we're in the perfect time to start doing stuff like that outside of our original projects, because we finally have made a really, I think, a good push of our name out there, of ourselves, and our work has spoken to a lot of people. So it's exciting now that we have that support and we can reach new audiences. So maybe now is the time to start kind of just doing different things. That's why I think after The Gift is like our big, like, it almost feels like one chapter is ending and another chapter is about to begin.
So you and your father have been with Strange Film Studios, have been around since 2016?
Yes, sir.
And now, how many films have you all made during that time?
So in the Strange Films world, I'd say there's I think there's 18 films right now, between shorts and micro features. There's just that me and Frank have specifically kind of worked on, and whether he was the writer producer and I was writer producer, but I've directed everything myself, but one of the two. But outside that, I mean, I've done a lot of different things kind of since I started the journey of being a filmmaker. I mean, I over 24 different projects like I've been working on, and that he has definitely, helped me with, feedback and things like that. But the Strange Films thing, definitely we're almost to that 24 mark as far as films go.
That's pretty cool. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you a random question that I ask some filmmakers. All right. So listen, let's say someone comes to you right now and backs up the Brinks truck. Which iconic series? It said you can pick any iconic series and do your own fresh take reboot on. Who would it be?
Okay, you broke up just a little bit and lagged on.
Okay.
I only caught the last tail end of the series question, so can you repeat it to me? I'm sorry about that.
All right, it's no problem. So a Brinks truck pulls up and it said, listen, we're going to give you this money to put your own spin on an iconic horror franchise. Which one would it be?
That's a good question. I think I'd probably like to go for, my heart says Halloween because that's my all-time favorite, franchise, but I think I would actually like to go for Friday the 13th. Because Jason is such a really, really fun character and he can go anywhere. Like his his scenarios are crazy sometimes. You know, like Jason Takes Manhattan is like still one of my favorites in the series. Like I just think it's so
Really?
fun that I just think I think it's awesome that he's like they're just like let's take you to New York, even if it's only for 40 minutes. You know, like let's just go. I think it's a simple concept, like he's the camp killer in the woods kind of deal. That itself can go on for 2 or 3 films, and then you take that situation, expand on the lore, expand on the characters and the story, and maybe Jason can get out of the woods a little bit too. It's just a whole journey, I think, with Jason, and I love how he can just every time you think he's down, he's coming right back up, and just like how the other slashers are, but Jason just feels like this tremendous amount of force, like this zombie freaking nature, kind of deal, and I think I respect John Carpenter's legacy a little too much for me to be like, yeah, let me try that. I would love to do it, but it wouldn't be my first bet. I think I could have a lot more kind of campy and serious fun at the same time with Friday the 13th.
See, I would love to see someone take like, I know you can't do it with Michael Myers, but you can definitely do it with Jason. But to take him to somewhere like, I don't know, somewhere where it looks like a fucking blizzard or something like that. You know what I mean?
There's
or Alaska.
There's a fan film, I think, Never Hike Alone, I want to say. I haven't watched it. I've heard amazing things, but it's a fan film for Friday the 13th, and I think it is like in the snow, and I've seen just posters, I think, and it had snow on it. I was like, I'm assuming it's in the snow. I'm like, so that's cool, but Jason, but you're right there, like something like that, like Alaska, like where he just like, I don't know, let me go to Colorado for this, let's get all
secluded.
Let's get all these
people are secluded
in the cabin this time, these skiers in the cabin, I'm feeling
no
like
cops can get there.
Hiking
there's no help.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Jason go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if you see or not, but they're doing a reboot of Leprechaun.
I just saw the news of that. Yeah. Well, I don't really have much to say about it because I haven't seen the original Leprechaun. So,
really?
One thing you'll learn about me if there's a lot of people. I haven't seen a lot of movies. Like I have, but there's always like some bigger name movies that people will be like, oh yeah, but this movie I haven't seen it. I'm like, so it's one of those things where it's like I'm a filmmaker, but I haven't watched like that many movies. But Leprechaun's one of them. I haven't seen Leprechaun, but I did see the news, and what I actually appreciated about the news article was I think it was like I want to say I don't know if he was the original writer or director of the Leprechaun movie, but I like that he was saying that we want to really pay homage to the original by like keeping that same like spirit, but also get more bloodier and gorier and still keep the comedy of it and like be able to introduce it to a new audience in a new way, so it's like I think from what I could tell, because I think Leprechaun is a pretty campy kind of fun time, I feel like they're going to try to recreate that but in a much more serious but fun way, so and I think
yes.
So I'm excited to see it because it makes me want to watch Leprechaun really bad, see what's up.
Well, I actually like Leprechaun, but none of the movies are. I mean, Part 3 is good, but none of the movies, for the most part, are great movies. I mean, they're pretty bad. I mean, they got Leprechaun in the Hood, Part 1 and Part 2, Leprechaun in Space. I mean, they're pretty bad movies. I mean, but they're fun, and that's what I do like about those movies. You don't go in thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna be scared or anything. Right. It's just cheesy low-level B movie, good time.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so fun about horror. I mean, a lot of people know that about horror films. Like, you're either going to have, your pants scared off, or you're mentally fucked up, or you're going to, just have a good time because it's just so bad it's good, And it's like, I think horror is one of the best communities to be in for that, you're just it's just a bunch of people who love movies, especially scary movies, and of all kinds, whether it's a drama or it's a comedy or if it's so bad, whatever, the experimental stuff, the really messed up stuff, the franchises, everything, and people come together for that and they celebrate it and they have a good time and they're nice to each other. I mean, horror conventions and Comic-Cons and things like that, they're just like, they're the best places to be at because everyone's like, no judgment. no nothing. Everyone's there. Guests love. I mean, the the people, the attendees love the guests, the celebrities, and the celebrities love the people, the fans, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an amazing place to be, and that's why it makes me very, very hopeful that indie films, mainstream horror in general, is always going to have an audience. So no matter what we all do, as filmmakers or as viewers, we're gonna find someone or something we love. So it's a cool space to be in.
Now, this has probably happened to you, or maybe it hasn't. But what if you made a movie and you're like, okay, I know this is what the audience reaction is going to be. It's going to scare them. It's going to disturb them. And then you're at a screening and people are laughing. Or like, how would you react to that?
I don't think it's gonna. If I really truly meant for something to be, and I put my whole heart into it, and I was like, "This is the moment," yes, and then it was totally opposite reaction. Maybe I get a little upset about it, a little confused. But I've been to screenings where my films I've played, and there was moments where I thought were really awkward, or maybe like I was like, that was not my best part of the movie, and people like adored and loved and was like laughing and clapping too. And then I've seen parts where it's like I was intending it to be a very, very serious scene, like super intense, and people were laughing too. And I'm like, so it's always one of these things where it's like, as long as the audience is having a good time, let them take that perception for whatever they might think. If it's making them want to rewatch the movie because this is the part where it just gets me every time, like, all right, that's cool.
Because I'm sitting there like, as long as you're getting some kind of reaction out of your audience, whether it be scared, laughing, whatever. I mean, you're getting some kind of reaction compared to
nothing.
The audience is sitting there like this.
Yeah. And and like I've been in festivals and screenings where it's like that for filmmakers. Unfortunately, that happens. I mean, filmmakers we're weird creatures. We're trying to figure out like how to tell a story, and some people are more invested into the craft than others, and things like that. But for me, knowing how much I'm passionate about this and trying to tell these things in a very serious way, even if there's some camp value into it, like getting those reactions, whether it's a cheer or a laugh or like what the fuck, whatever it is, like I'm doing my job right. Yes. Like, and there's a lot of moments like that in The Gifted that I cannot wait to see the reactions on in the theater. So I'm like, I really strive for that because it inspires me more, because I'm like, I think it makes me like really amped for like, okay, all right. So there's some sort of weird, thing in my brain that's working when I make these movies that I think, I can keep this up.
And it's great to see indie horror movies in the theaters on the big screen. Like I've had a chance to see a couple recently, and like it is amazing because like, listen, streaming and TV and all that stuff is great, but like I felt like movies were made to be seen in a theater in the dark with other people on the big screen.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's one of those things where it's and just like you, I'm sure, like you growing up, you see movies in theaters, like it feels like an event, like a big thing, and you almost like you take in the movie much more in that capacity too. It's like I think the last movie I saw in theaters was Godzilla -1, and that was probably the first movie I've seen in theaters. I don't go to the theater too often now. I have a 3-year-old son. It's hard to get out of the house a lot. But we, I went to see that, and I knew I was going to love the movie. But holy hell, seeing it in the theater, you're just like taking it all in. That's how you see a movie. You're just like, wow. So it's like for me, I remember being before I even started making my first serious film, I was like looking at it. It's kind of funny. I tell the story every once in a while, but like there's on my first, it's my third Instagram post like ever. Like there's like I was working in local news, and I actually was covering a film festival, and I saw the screening. I saw these indie films being played on a theater screen. I just thought that was so cool, and I took a photo of it, and I said one day I'll have my film play on a screen like this. And next thing you know, like it took a couple of films to get there, but I had my film playing in the theater, and I was like, whoa, this is just surreal to me, And it's like, And I think every theater kind of setting that you have a screening like that, you're always going to get some more engagement and excitement and applause and hoorah, for all that stuff, for your work effort into that. People can watch things on their phone at home in their comfort, or if you're watching in a noisy bar, that's not that good. But it's like so it's like the theater screenings are definitely very they're important, I think, for not only just films in general and watching movies, but for indie filmmakers for sure. If you can get your film playing in whether it's a private screening you're hosting or a film festival or whatever that is, like it's really cool to have that.
And like I live in Baltimore, so in Baltimore we have the Charles Theater, and they show nothing but indie films.
Cool.
And I saw Midsummer there. I've seen nice. A lot of great indie horror movies, and I don't know. I've been all across this country. I don't know if every city has their own indie movie theater, but I think they should.
Yeah, thankfully Knoxville does now. We've had one about 5 years now. Central Cinema. There's actually where I'm premiering The Gifted here in Knoxville when I got back from Vegas. They're very like that. They're like an art house indie film theater, and it's like 80 seats, very, very nice screen, very nice seats, great auditorium, like simple, small but effective, great sound, great people who run it. You can buy all your concessions, beer, whatever it is, and they play everything from those really weird art films that are coming out in the low indie theater screenings, from the mainstream indie stuff like Midsummer or stuff like that. To they actually, I don't know how all the logistics works, but they can play, cool classic movies, big, nice big movies and things like that, and make events out of those and stuff like that too. So, and of course, they're really supportive of the indie film scene here because Knoxville's pretty good great, scene for the film industry, and a lot of filmmakers like myself rent that theater out to screen our movies and stuff. I hosted a live podcast there last summer as well. They host film festivals there, so it's a really cool space to be in. But not enough cities have them. I agree. There's. I wish back in my old stomping grounds, Kingsport, Tennessee, has something like that. I wish a lot of smaller towns had that kind of style because I think it would introduce a lot more creativity and films to people, who may not be familiar with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because and also too, it would also force. I feel like a lot of allow a lot of indie filmmakers to stay in those small towns and not move to the big cities like Baltimore and Knoxville because they have that opportunity.
Yeah, it would definitely encourage them, I think, and support. And I think it's good to have people who may be doing it for a little while to be examples of that and kind of lead that brigade of it, because it can be very discouraging. A lot of people think you have to move to a big city to make movies, and that's not the case. Anybody can make a film anywhere, and I think it's more cool to hear that a filmmaker from Kentucky nearby is making a really great indie horror film, or Atlanta, Georgia over here. I mean, it's a big city, but outskirts of Georgia or whatever, Athens, Georgia. I know there's a lot of filmmakers out there who are doing some cool stuff. There's just like these little pockets of areas where I think can fill the gaps or be kind of extensions of bigger cities. And I think it definitely, it's a good example for any filmmaker who are starting out to be like, and you can do it anywhere. You can do it anywhere. You can do it. You can be anyone to do it. It's not, you don't have to go somewhere like LA or New York or Atlanta or something like that to make a movie. You just do it, just, and, exactly. So, yeah.
All right. So August, where can everyone find you, my friend?
Yeah, so pretty easy to find. You can go to strangefilmstudios.com. Look that up on YouTube, Strange Film Studios, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Twitter as well, or X, whatever you want to call it. But you can look up Strange Film Studios. You will find all of our movies you can ever watch on YouTube, on our website, except for The Gifted because it's coming out. We're going to be doing a big select screening and festival run, things like that. For this year, but we sell our merch on DVDs and all of our films and stuff like that. The Gifted will be on DVD this month as well. My name is August Aguilar. You can find my name on the same platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And yeah, we're just out here trying to push our stuff, man, and celebrate indie film and keep making movies and see what happens.
Keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, man.
And by the way, in the description box down below, guys, is going to be the link to the website as well as the YouTube page for Strange Films. So go over there, give them some support, like, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
August, it's been a blast. Listen, we've been trying to do this for a couple times.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I got to do it with you, especially before I take off to Vegas and stuff, because I know we're both super busy and things, but I'm glad it worked out. And thanks for always being supportive of me and like, yeah, it's okay. We'll reschedule. I'm like, all right, thank you. So,
yeah. Shit happens, man. Shit happens.
Yeah, totally.
Shit happens.
Totally.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
See ya.